Hi, it's Neil from Small Business Big Ideas, coming to you today to talk about the last in the little mini topic of direct mail. And today we're talking about, today's tip is about sending past customers free samples and incentives to get them to purchase again. This is a great idea. There is one thing which everybody needs to be aware of, which is happening in May of 2018, which is something called GDPR, which is a change to the data protection regulations, which is likely to have an impact on your ability to do this. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do this, but what I'm saying is you should probably take advice on whether you're able to do so, because one of the key changes that will be coming in post GDPR legislation on the 25th of May is that you have to be very specific about the data that you're collecting and what you're going to use it for. So for example, just because someone has bought from you in the past does not give you the permission to communicate with them either electronically or physically through direct mail, unless you have got their express permission to do so. So my advice would be seek advice as soon as you can. I'm recording this video in back end of February of 2018, so there is time for businesses to find out exactly what they need to do to make themselves GDPR compliant. One thing I strongly suggest you do, and again, this isn't legal advice and I'm no GDPR expert, but if you have got a database of current customers and you haven't got their permission to send them marketing messages, be that electronically or physically, then you've got until the 25th of May to get their permission. After that, on the 1st of June or what have you, if you were to write or email to one of your previous customers who hadn't given you the consent to write to them with marketing messages, if you were to do that, then you would be committing an offence under the GDPR legislation. Now, it's highly unlikely that anybody will be policing it to such an extent that you would be caught out with one indiscretion like that, but you certainly need to be aware of it. And my understanding is, writing post 25th of May to say, would you like to be included in future communications, is also an offence, because essentially you should have sorted that out beforehand. So there's a little bit of time to get your house in order to allow you to do that. I didn't really anticipate this was going to be about GDPR, but there you go. Assuming you have got the ability to do so, then it's a good idea to keep in constant contact with your current customers. I think one of the key things that is a bit of a soapbox topic for me personally is the disproportionate amount of time that businesses spend on attracting new customers, and the reverse of that they don't spend enough time on making their current customers feel valued and special. And the reason that's such a crying shame is it's far easier to increase your turnover by getting your current customers to buy a little more than it is to get a whole load of new customers. So you should be writing to your current customers on a regular basis, writing, emailing. I'm saying writing because this topic's about direct mail. You should be communicating with them regularly, whether it's online or offline, or ideally both. You should also be picking up the phone and talking to them if you can, or if you can't do that physically, then certainly you should have the ability to do so with your extended team. And really, depending on the sort of business that it is, I would certainly be asking some questions if a regular customer suddenly stopped becoming a regular customer and just dropped off the face of the earth. And I would certainly be putting processes and systems in place so that A, that's flagged up, and B, something was done about it. And often the best method is the most direct, and that might simply be picking up the phone and saying, "Hello, Mr. Customer, you used to buy from us on a regular basis, and I notice you're not buying from us anymore. What's going on?" Perhaps don't say what's going on. That's perhaps a little bit too blunt. But you could ask them what's changed, or if if they no longer need your products or services. But essentially, ask them what's going on. For a start, that will probably make them fall off their chair, because how many times do you get a call from a business like that? That will absolutely set you apart from your competition, especially if you wrap it up in a way that makes them think that you care sufficiently to be making this call. So you should be doing that, and as part of that, direct mail plays an important part of that strategy. So I wouldn't necessarily, excuse me, itchy head. I wouldn't necessarily be, as the tip suggests, blanket mailing everybody who's bought from you 7 years ago with a sample or something like that, because there's a cost involved. But they could certainly get a coupon, or they could certainly get an email, assuming you've got their permission to do so, of course. So absolutely, I think this tip is pretty much one of the obvious ones. If you're able to do so without falling foul of data protection, then you should be keeping in regular contact with your current customers. You should be able to identify through your own processes, when a customer drops off the system. Don't try and contact them. If they buy every month and they're a few days late, don't start running around panicking, ringing the alarm bells. Chances are they might be on holiday or something like that. But if someone buys from you on a regular basis and a couple of months goes past without them getting in touch or placing an order, then that's something that you should have systems in place to flag up, and it would certainly be worth making a call to find out if there's anything you can help with. I'm sort of going slightly off topic because I meant to be talking about the direct mail side of things, but that's absolutely fine. So I hope you've got some benefit out of today's tip. That's the last one, loosely covering direct mail. And I shall see you tomorrow when we start to talk about advertising. Okay, thanks. Bye.